We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No, that's not ours. We are sorry, we are 5 minutes late because we had a little bit of a camera hiccup. Somehow some tech issue. So we need to get into the mode now.
Yes. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we had to restart the computer, and we're here, but we're super excited for Supersede and have everybody joining us today because we have some more details on the watches to share with you, a little bit of a recap from the last 24 hours. It's been 24 hours since we started the pre-order, and we would also like to answer any questions that we haven't been able to answer. We already have Mr. Reserve Commander is already in the chat and ready to ask some questions. So, Andy, how was your birthday?
My birthday was good.
Yeah.
It was a nice birthday present at the end of the day.
Yeah.
People obviously like what we do, and we got the first people ordering, and in the evening I opened a bottle of wine.
It was a little bit dated, wasn't it?
It was kind of dated. I kept it for 18 years already, and it was a 1975. So you guys know now how old I am. Gray hair. Probably need to work on that in future, and I hope we get a little bit more wise. And I don't know, we should do another movement because that's not so wise.
Yeah. It's what keeps you young, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, you just do it. And I remember when we did the first time the K1 movement, we said we're never going to do that again. But obviously, then we did it again with one of my favorites here, Tourbillon, ticking. Yeah. And after that, we obviously had to do this K2 thing again. And the real story is that we already started in 2016 to think about what would be something accompanying this K1 movement where most people know us. And and so fast forward several years down the road and a pandemic in between, and we had 1.5 years time to work on this Supersede design in secret. And 3 days ago, more or less, we started to come out with some real parts, not just digital. Whereas digital is good. I mean, we get a good impression, and we are super fascinated that we get very, very close to what computer animation told us it should be. Probably even better, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I'm always impressed with, is that things look really very nice in computer animation. I'm working with our animator, Fabian, and he does an incredible job putting these animations together. And you think, wow, can the watch be this good? And then you actually get it on wrist and in person, and it turns out to be even better. So some things are just, it's just it's such a relief when we get it on the wrist and we see it in person and know that what we had drawn up, or our designers have drawn up, is better in the hand, in reality, and obviously on the wrist. We had the watchmakers today, yesterday evening and this morning, put together some more colors. You can see on the screen right now, we have a few other dial colors encased in the watches, and we actually have a couple of more. We have one outside the room right now that's being worked on, and we also have a black one, which we're going to be showing very shortly, that is actually on the bracelet as well. Andy's laughing right now because his mother had called, and
my mother called birthday, and then I was watching you on TV on YouTube, and then she told me, you guys look like wait, let me show that.
Yeah,
like those guys. So my friends from the Muppet Show, and we should get a balcony, I think.
Yeah, we need a balcony at a certain time. We already have a little bit of black shots going on here.
I love those guys. I can still remember when I was watching Muppet Show. Yesterday it was different. We were blowing rockets, it was also okay. Yeah. So let's get back to some serious. I mean, watches are fun things, so we want to have fun at the end of the day. Besides all the technical stuff we anyhow have to manage, so I get rid of those two guys. Bye bye.
Yeah, today we have we sent out a newsletter yesterday about today's broadcast. Yesterday we sent out a newsletter just prior to the broadcast, so that's why we have a little less viewers today. But it's nice to see Mr. Reserve Commander from Oxfordshire, UK. Yeah, we have had some orders from the UK. We've had quite a bit from Taiwan, Singapore, USA, all over the world. It's
India,
yeah,
Philippines.
India, yeah.
So that's super fascinating that we actually, I mean, that's probably one of the things in this pandemic which is beneficial besides too many people sadly being sick, that people are getting used to consuming streaming like that and getting interactive and zooming and whatever. And we think that's the future, we should do that more. And for us, it's the best way to let people be part of that journey. And I think, before we talk too much about all our things, you know.
I mean, our friends at Scottish Watches, they always start their show with doing a wrist check. And
so I do a wrist check. I'm pressing now. I need this. I'm switching the camera here.
Yeah.
We have 3 cameras, by the way, and I tried to get into the focus.
Yeah. And there we are. We have the first Supersede that's on the bracelet. It's with the polished center links. It's the black dial, and it's
the shop.
Yeah, that's great.
In the right position,
you're in the right position there. And he has a camera just over top of his head. They're pointing down.
Yeah, we had a long arguing on brushed or polished, but Landon, you are now for.
I saw that. I mean, Laurent's going to build up a brushed one. Hopefully, we'll have one on brushed center links for tomorrow. But the polished is looks pretty incredible.
I love those cutouts. It is. I mean, the bracelet is not ours. It's just
the buckle.
The buckle is not ours. We just use something to put it together because we need to finish our work first, and a lot of fingerprints here. So, but it's super comfortable. It's incredible.
The proportion is amazing.
It's a serious watch. It's really a serious watch.
Yeah. And so you'll see there's a little pin here. We had to do a little bit of retrofitting because, as we mentioned, we're still in prototype mode.
There's a first link here. This first link, actually, you do not see that.
A little bit towards the camera.
You don't see that. So that looks like part of the case, but it's not. It is actually the thing which holds this thing and makes a visual difference between the main case and the buckle. My wife is writing a lot.
And his wife is jumping in here.
She probably said I should go to the hairdresser or something like this.
No, she said we sold 86 Supersede in 24 hours.
That's okay.
That's pretty good.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm happy.
Yeah.
We will buy more engineers for that.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong. We don't fly helicopters. We buy engineers. That's what we need.
Can you just move over this way a bit, Andy? Yourself,
probably
your body, and keep your arm there. There we are.
Yeah, super cool. It's amazing, yeah. Thing turns, obviously. Some people wanted to hear that.
Yeah,
you can do that exercise also. Crispy stuff.
Yeah.
And and it's easy to handle. You get a little bit more crispiness on the crowns, on the cutouts. That's what we anyhow plan to do. I mean, when you look at the first time on a piece of metal, then you big arguing going on everywhere, but we are more than surprised that everything comes out so well already.
Yeah.
And it's a real serious watch.
Yeah.
So switch, buzzer,
Yeah, and we have the white dial. It's built up on the rubber strap.
Shall we do the rubber strap?
Yeah, definitely put that on.
Wrist
and let's have a look at it. Yeah.
Okay, then back to my.
Go back here again.
Take the mouse away.
There we are. Just move over there. Just come up a bit with your wrist. And back down. Got to find the focus point. There we are. And that's with the rubber strap. Integrates really nicely into the lugs.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, Reserve Commander.
So comfortable. you know. And we are known for comfortable watches, but that's
the proportions are amazing.
It's a 10.
Yeah, that 39.5 millimeter is extremely comfortable.
And the thickness, I mean, this watch has some real function in there, and it's less than
10 millimeters. Yeah, 9.85 millimeter.
That's what I would consider a watch to wear.
Yeah, yesterday somebody in the comments was asking, is it a screw down crown? It is a screw down crown. So just address that now. And yeah, as you mentioned there, Reserve Commander, it's who is in the chat. It is pretty impressive with those Paula center links, especially when you we have some pretty good cameras here, but when you do get it on your wrist, it's really a nice wear.
Yeah, that other.
What's that?
That other bracelet is in assembly somewhere. We can show that tomorrow.
We'll show that one tomorrow.
Yeah,
we'll bring the brush one in there. The brush center link is getting put on another watch right now, so we'll have that here later on. So Andy's just showing some details here of the buckle.
Yeah, when you, for example, put that buckle together, put it together like that. I mean, that's now 3D printed. You see that it's not real rubber as it should feel because it doesn't twist back, but it's a 3D printed sample. Surprisingly, how good that stuff already is. You put it in here. You have that thing here. So this one, and you have the safety lock.
Yeah, yeah, the safety keeper there.
That thing stays in place then.
Yeah, and the buckle itself, the proportions on the side will be just narrow. It's ever so slightly. It's a little bit wider than we had imagined it being from production. So we're just going to bring it in, slim it down, because the watch itself is super sleek, and when it comes in, and it comes to that taper.
You need to take off.
Yeah, exactly.
Already, I mean, you cannot imagine how many drawings are moving back and forth between our secret designers chat and not everybody is allowed in there. Since I'm married to the boss, I'm allowed, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of discussion going forward everywhere, and yeah, we also have some tiny little changes on the side flanks, and but it's really cosmetic things on the one side which we improve, some dimensions here and there. But basically we are, let's say, the 98% is what we expected now, and now the last 2% is a job for the next year.
Yeah.
So technically we know already what needs to be improved. I mean, the tricky stuff is, how does the crown feel when you pull it out? How does it feel when you set the hand? How does it feel in the fingertips when you set the date? This is the really difficult stuff. Making a movement, making it cost level and precise is not something we have a problem with, because we do that all the time. But you can simulate as much as you want. At the end of the day, the tricky stuff are the springs inside of a movement, where you need to dial in the spring force to make the click and the cluck and the feel in the right way.
Yeah.
And that takes time. And that's why we want to be honest with everybody. Yeah, we need this 1 year time frame in order to make that as perfect as we can. And I think we will deliver a pretty serious product.
Yeah, we were talking to a friend today in from Half Watch Tuesday.
Yeah, Omer.
Omer, and we've known him for a few years now. Unbelievable guy. And yeah, we were talking about the differences between various brands and the timelines needed for development. Of course, there's products that we have right now in our store that are available for stock, and somebody can pick it up. But these types of products that we're making here are, it's sometimes we get tired of hearing the development journey or the journey in watchmaking, but it is actually true. What we are doing is we want to take people along for the ride, be transparent on this prototyping, showing the various stages of where we are at, so that you have a really special story also to go along with your watch. And your feedback, everybody's feedback, whether in the chat, in our comments, in our forum, they all definitely do have an influence on how things go.
Besides, by the way, why does the left watch not work?
Yeah, so we
a couple
have
of things missing.
So we wanted to get the dial into the case so people could see it, because it's different to see that dial just on its own, and then to put it into a case, all the proportions, everything really comes together. It's so different when you see these things isolated. Some things, because they look bigger, possibly a color looks slightly off, and then you get it in the watch under the crystal, and everything just starts to mesh and really look good together.
These are actually the two things which are missing.
Yeah.
I'm not a very good watchmaker. I'm very shaky, as you can see on my.
Too much coffee. Yeah.
No, I think it's genetic.
Yeah.
It's a genetic problem, I guess. Yeah, there's another one. And this actually the bridge.
So I pull out a few more parts here, and then we'll answer some of these questions here. So, question here, since we do have some of the escapement stuff out here, K2 silicone hairspring, is it already included in current prototypes, or any testing only later? Supply of hairsprings, any risks?
We have people who know that we have done that already in the past. Then there was some little discussion with some other companies, and we ceased to continue, but we understand the technology very well, and we currently do that with steel springs from calibre, like the ones which we also ship in the tourbillon. And yeah, we comply with the rules, and 26 November 2022 is the date where freedom to operate for the industry is about. And I think that's a good thing for the industry, because it will produce better movements for all of us and for all of you. And we know how to handle that technology. So we are very familiar with all the aspects. I myself, by the way, teach that topic in EPFL. As a co-teacher.
What is EPFL?
It's the university in Lausanne. It's about IP strategy, and specifically this silicon technology and its effects on the watch industry, and what was all the background story. So that's what I was invited to come to the university, because one of the professors there actually he bought an array and crowdfunding in Kickstarter.
Okay.
And then we got to know each other, and he said, "Yeah, I'm IP strategist," and I said, "Yeah, my hobbies are patents." It's an expensive hobby, by the way. And so yeah, and then we got to talk each other and said, "Yeah, why don't you want to join the teaching process on IP strategy and talk about this topic, this case? It's so interesting, it's so unique that yeah, in the executive master program, we are talking about that stuff. So we are very familiar with the topic, I would say."
Same individual said power reserve 65 or 72. It's over 72 hours power reserve. And if you had seen an earlier slide, Andy had some outdated slides and information. You would have seen that we had the tourbillon in that slide at 100. It's over 120 now, and the K2 started at 65 when he initially announced the project, and it's over 72 now. And so, yeah, that's
what do we say? Over promise, under deliver kind of thing? No.
Under promise, over deliver.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. This is also people who know our movements before. They knew that we didn't have screw type balance wheels. Then we moved into musclot type balance regulating system. Then we have the screws before we had index. So we are so deep into regulating technology development that this was also the reason why we were able to develop a tourbillon within 8 months. And from more or less nothing except an overall concept of the watch. And
the first watch that showed up in was a tourbillon.
Yeah, but there's also other difficult stuff. I mean, that thing, so it looks small, but that's one of the most tricky parts. It's a ratchet wheel thing. We do that really by ourselves. We don't buy just a component from someone. Silvan has been just fixing the other watch, which I will bring in. It's blue. And I think, or these kind of things, when I talked about springs and stuff like this, this is the hard part. this is the stuff we really need to try a lot and find out. And yeah, after 12 years of development, I think we feel very safe that we can deliver a very good product.
You just move that case just over to the side, the other one as well. And we can put some of those parts into the
or this one. I love that part. Yes, Geneva stripe.
This is a sample that we have here, our prototype. So there's some dust and all that. It's
don't get hard on us with the dust.
I'm just going to answer this question here on the strap. The strap is not a quick release. We talked about that yesterday, the day before, also in our forum, a lot of great details about that. It is it's a screw system for changing out the strap and the bracelet.
We want to have a look at this blue.
Oh yeah, and we just had a fresh watch in. Sylvan just brought this in here, so just bring up the camera there, bring it up.
There's the dust guy.
You gotta get that. There we go. Yeah. So this is the transatlantic blue. So we have the transatlantic blue now in the case. We showed the gray one earlier. Yeah. And the green. So we have the blue. So we also have here the gray. And the gray will be just a slightly bit lighter than how you guys see it right now.
A little bit smaller. Oh. Yeah, pretty cool. Shall we put the green and the blue one side by side?
Looks good. So I have some work later this afternoon. I'm gonna have to
little bit of reflection you see from the camera.
We got to make some photos for everybody, and we'll be sharing those on our forum as well as on Instagram, Facebook, and all those places. So I'll make sure we have some fresh images as well as some wrist shots as well for everybody to see.
So probably a little bit more close-ups here. Huh? Is that better to see here something? There's another one.
Yeah, just play with the focus there.
It's not.
There we go. Yeah, the focus on that one isn't so good right now. We're having a tough time with the autofocus there.
Set that, change that again. Yeah, we can have a little bit of a closer look again on the side of that thing. Yeah.
So again, the case profile is 9.85 millimeters, and we do see some things that we'd like to touch up on the side of the case. But for the most part, this first prototype is very nice. And
now you see nice.
Yeah,
we like this groove here. Yeah, it's really nice.
And the clasp that you see there is just
it's just off the shelf.
Just off the shelf. So that is not representative of the clasp that will be there. For those that have been following what we've been doing, it's we're working on a new micro adjustment clasp that we will also be developing even further as the year progresses here. So yeah, what else did you want to go over today, Andy?
I'm playing around by myself here.
Yeah, yeah, we're pretty excited just to get these watches on the wrist.
One,
yeah.
Front and rear. Yeah.
Yeah, and somebody had asked us yesterday, what have been the most popular colors as well, and we're seeing that actually quite a few people are going for the gray, a lot of green as well, and the blues too, and obviously the white. So from sort of top down, it's probably white being the most ordered right now, and then we're going into the gray, green, and blue. So things have sort of moved around from people seeing some of these things firsthand. We had in our voting section, most people voting for total blue, transatlantic blue, these colors. and we're seeing that this gray is becoming quite
Ask the question above. Are we all allowed changes to pre-order?
Oh yeah, there we are, up here.
Okay.
Okay, are we allowed to make changes to pre-order spec, style, this sort of thing? Yeah. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, sure. We've got a year ahead of us, so as things as things change and or we bring out the next version of the prototype, and you see some more images of the dial colors and the bracelet details and all of that. And hopefully, Andy and I were talking today is if we're able to travel more in the new year, we would love to get around and show these watches to different watch clubs and in person. Definitely, you can change those things up. So just send us an email at lostintime@horage.com and or just in the chat on our website, and yeah, we'll help you out. So yeah, thank you for the question.
I'm just reading here. Have we missed anything else here? So come on.
Oh, yeah. We are, yeah.
Thank you.
I think we got everybody so far.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are at work now.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people
Which
are.
is okay. We are also at work.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's very, how to say, we are all very happy with this first results. It's really after so much years of work. Of course, there's still a lot of work to do. Getting the old parts in now and getting the supply chain stabilized and the quality management, test protocols. So we probably destroy 50 to 100 movements with all the tests we usually do in order to comply with what is necessary, also to pass cost later. And but we don't worry a lot about precision base movement things. I don't worry at all, to be honest. With our escapement technology, we can get these 70 plus hours out. Even 65 is already for that form factor on the 3.5 hertz, pretty good. And that's due to our escapement experience, and we have done that in several thousand components already, and we are very familiar with the process of handling it. Luckily, we started that very early and learned a lot about this and can apply it anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Should I show some escapements here?
Yeah, we showed some yesterday, and yesterday we did a little production tour, and tomorrow we plan to do a little bit of the same there. And we'll also have Thomas Funder, who is the individual helper with the design of the bridges and of the case, and he'll be joining in the call with us as well.
Let me see if I can. No, that's not good. I think in the mirror it's best. Or do we have a better thing? Yeah, it's okay. So what you see here is you see these guys, the straight ones, and you see the little scorpions. And these ones are the scorpions are the regular 20.3 escapement, and the other ones are the angular ones without the fork rear, because this is the one which we used in the tourbillon. And you see that's kind of several rows of different types of escapements. In detail, they also differ in their shape because we continue to improve the geometry of the technology of the escapement in order to squeeze out the last little bit of performance. And and this know-how enables us to make movements with longer power reserve compared to a Formula One engine, I would say. Mm-hmm. Highly, maximized. Omega uses 3.5 hertz. There's someone who knows a lot about that. Oma 002.
So long power reserve all down to your drive train efficiency. Omega uses 3.5 hertz too, and they have double barrels in 8,900 movements to achieve 60. You know a lot about movements.
Are
you a watchmaker?
Are you in Biel?
Yeah.
Cool. No, that's some serious question here. Funny thing is that the 8000 series of Omega movement was the first in the modern times to use 3.5 hertz. When we started in 2008 to think about it, we also thought about what is a modern beat rate with improved manufacturing efficiency and changes and access to silicon technology like that. You can bring down the hertz rate to a certain degree, and you can then use this reduced hertz rate without sacrificing precision for increasing the power reserve. That means actually, since we have a performance increase of 30 to 40%,
45%
over a traditional Ruby-based 20.3 escapement, we obviously, and because the material is much lighter, we don't burn as much energy. And this remaining energy allows us to run on lower torque from the mainspring on the second wheel, obviously. And this longer, softer mainspring can be longer, and that's where the power reserve comes from. Omega was the first to do the 3.5 hertz. At this time when we started, and then we said, you need to do 4 hertz or this kind of stuff. And I said, no, I think that's a good thing. Longer power reserve is what people want. They want to have it over the weekend. And so we decided to go for it. And we didn't, it was never our plan, by the way, to make escapements and all that stuff. We want to make a movement. And then we were buying from Emma Vichy in the early days, from Kilian Eisenecker, a very well-known engineer in the industry who has written several books also. He actually had our own escapement technology, and we were buying that. But then the whole market was difficult. It was difficult to get parts. He talked about supply here. And so we then decided to look into the whole silicon exercise. And it took several years to figure that out. And it was the right decision at the end of the day. And so now we have this capability of really with one barrel reaching up to 70 hours. Our K1 movement with the 25.6, 4.95 high form factor has already 65 hours. Why is it like that? Why is the difference between Omega 8000 and us? The coaxial escapement was a crazy development. I mean, developing, let's say, the Swiss level escapement is probably one of the best inventions of the watch world ever been. But the world doesn't stop, and I think it was a smart move of Hayek for also from separating itself from the rest of the industry to give it a try and realize the coaxial. And Florian Serex, our long-term friend, consultant, gray hair, more than me, no, not more, in the background, he is actually one of the reasons why we also started to do the whole movement exercise. He was working on the 8000 caliber, especially on the coaxial levers, which were made out of. Yeah, he was not the initiator. His job was to make that part out of Liga in the Liga process. So because this was this relatively big part, and this bigger part needs a little bit more power. The reasoning behind coaxial was that there is no, basically, it was assumed that you don't need lubrication, which turned out to be not completely true, because there was lubrication needed. But it's a fascinating technology. It just has a little bit more, it needs more torque.
But as I understood, he initiated the conversation to look into this.
Yes, because he was running the lab at ETA.
Yeah, this time. That's right.
And so, and we got just more or less like with the movement by itself, we got into this, and we needed to do that because we didn't get access to anything. And 10 years ago, I mean, the days were different. Today, it's different again. You know, the world has changed. ETA is doing their thing, and that's good. I think that's okay. It's good for the industry that they are free to do whatever they want. And Celita now needs to step up the game and need to come up with some better stuff, I think, because at the end of the day, the movements we know, 2892, 2824, 70, 70, 50, these movements are 40 years old, 50. And I think it's time, and that's what our job is, to move the needle and improve performance and create a little bit of competition. And that's good for all of us. And you see it on the latest movements from, we got an analysis of the latest calibers of Tissot, Longines, and you see there's a lot of change coming. And they are running at, of course, some of them, they're turning down to 3 hertz, 80 hours. But you see a lot of modern watchmaking now in this watch group movements, and that's very good, I think. So at the end of the day, people can complain if this whole situation was good or not good. At the end of the day, I think a little bit of competition is good for all of us.
Yeah, and it also it's good for brands to move that forward, because as the community that we connect with are people who are working or picking up an Horage watch, they love these details and they love to see innovation and things being moved forward. And
yeah, you know, I mean, we all know potentially you don't need a watch, you can live without that, but the life wouldn't be as nice, perhaps. We also know that the smartwatch didn't kill the Swiss watch industry. That's perfectly fine, and I think the industry needs to come into a stage where we see, let's say, I mean, watchmaking is a very nice hobby to be in. That's Scottish Watches guys, and Omer told me. I never thought about it like that. It's true. It's a nice hobby to be in, and people who buy products in this level as hobbyists and enjoy that, they expect, an excellent engineered product. That's the joy of it.
Yeah.
And nice design and a good product, and people who really dedicate their brain power into making something cool, and that's what we do.
Yeah. So somebody's asking us to do a close-up video of date change at midnight, movement of GMT hand, 12, 24-hour hand. We're still very much in prototype mode here.
Yes, I destroyed the first watch.
Andy blew up the first watch yesterday doing that. And so these are things that we are ironing out over the next.
I think I cannot now change that.
Yeah, so we've been under strong advice that these are just display models right now. They're running display models, but we will be ironing out those last little details as we get closer to our next pre-order. Yeah, not a problem. You can ask away. It never hurts to ask. We'll just be honest that Andy's moving some things around right now.
I don't know.
Let's have a look here.
This is the one that I destroyed 2 days ago. Oh.
Yeah, so the orange of the second hand, is it going to match the original rendering? It is very light in the sampling, and it was done. These are prototype hands, so everything you're seeing is prototype version. It's all very well done for prototype, but yeah, they'll be a little bit stronger in the final version. As you're seeing it here on the camera, the lighting as well is making them far brighter, because there is some luminous. They are luminous as well. And so under the light, they do appear a little bit brighter. When I look at this in my hand here, it's much more orange in live in person. I don't know if this camera helps at all any differently, but it is just far more orange than it does appear in this camera here as well.
So what I can show you now. So backwards, we turn the calendar. It depends on how you switch it. Frontwards, there's a little bit of a play on the hands, as you can see. You see that?
Yeah.
And when I put it in, I go the first one. Then this is it's reversed. Actually, the one which has not this luminous fill should be the GMT hand, and it's reversed. So
prototype.
And here, that's what we see. We are not yet happy with the indenting, which needs to go halfway, step by step, 12 steps. This is the hard part. This is the stuff which we need to improve. I would say we need 3 prototyping runs. My rule of 3, I have a rule of 3. A mechanical object needs to be built 3 times. First time is thinking, dreaming, computer, first sample usually doesn't work as you wanted. Second time you improve. Third time it should get good. And if we calculate for each of these revision cycles today with our infrastructure 2 to 3 months, then you can conclude on why we also do it in that time frame.
And that's our time frame. So the next pre-order will be in March, and that is our goal to have those details ironed out, because those will be samples that will go out to media and to be able to show and to people to test out and try the movement there on the wrist. Hey Liam, nice to see you here. Thanks for connecting with me over Instagram, and as well as in the forum as well. We have that forum. I got to make some updates there too, and I'll be making some photos here of all these watches.
Now you see it a little bit better.
And yeah, I'll just bring this one up maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted to show that hand.
Yeah.
Perhaps with color. No. It's quite good orange. That looks okay.
The prototype's using 2 disc or a single disc for the date function. The date function is a
single disc. Why single disc? We are known for 2 discs because a 25.6 diameter actually has less space. So if you want to have a big date, you need 2 discs. This one obviously is a 30 millimeter diameter, so the disc in itself is quite big. By the way, I have it here.
Oh yeah, show that.
What? That would be the disc. So that's the disc where we print the date. I'm happy for a single disc. It's less challenging.
Mm-hmm.
We have other challenges anyhow already. So no, we will also keep everybody updated on. My plan is to have I was really thinking of a WhatsApp group where people can join who order, where they can also see what we do technically.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my plan. Nobody tried that ever, but why not? So, what do you think, Landon?
Well, lots of people have done that.
Because
we just haven't done it.
yeah. Let's say, take it away. How to grab here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's super for me. I said before, we are in a hobby, and here's also another nice part.
Somebody's asking right now, do we know what the diameter of the crystal is? Maybe if Sue, you're in the chat here, you have that number off the top of your head. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can also just run out of the room and measure it right now. You're back, Andy.
Yeah, you probably measure it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did I got stuck? No, the interesting part for me is, I mean, when a watch runs 10 seconds per day off, then everybody says, oh, 10 seconds, that's not very precise. But from a mechanical point of view, when you consider 10 seconds out of how many seconds per day we have, around 86,000, I think, then that's a pretty serious achievement for someone who is making watches, because it is just a 0.00 something percent nothing. So, and this watch is not a smart watch. You know, there's no brain in there. There's no intelligence in there. It only lives from the precision of the parts. At the end of the day, it's a dumb machine. But this dumb machine keeps time close to and less than 10 seconds. And my watch, my personal watch, is somewhere at, I say 10 because -4 + 6 would be the COSC window. So 10 is more or less allowed, and you're going up and down. And my watch is, I think, ±2, depending on how I wear it.
Yeah, what's Marcus's? Instead, it's 0.
It's 0. Yeah. But he got back to Lenny to regulate it. No, it's fascinating that the watch industry is capable of making parts in this precision. It's 194 parts. You put this in that box, and then it works.
Mm-hmm.
And it works at this precision with a failure rate of 0.00 something per day. And that's why it's worth to own a watch. In my opinion, that's what fascinates me. Other people say, yeah, I'm only interested in the look. Also, okay, look is fine. I mean, obviously that watch looks very fine. Need to wear it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a nice thing somehow.
For me, I'm a camera guy, and I like tactile things and things that are a little less connected, and so yeah, I like mechanical watches just for that reason. In general, is that there isn't any battery there isn't any computer, there isn't any monitoring going on, and it's just something that's a little bit more back to the basics, but highly
Yeah, probably
technical.
you keep it for 50 years.
Yeah, you keep it for 50 years.
It's sustainable in this.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a fan of EV, electric vehicles, and electronics and electromechanical stuff and bicycles and things like this. But making these small things is a different game. You know, you are really in the 3 micron area, and 3 micron is 3,000ths of a millimeter. It's nothing. So when you the machine like that, then 2 of them are gone somewhere, and then it doesn't work anymore. So no, it's yeah, it's a very interesting and challenging business. It's not just making parts, you know, the intellectual capability doing that, managing all the process. That's also it's a process business. It's chasing microns, and at the end, we calculated one time how many processes or information steps as a software guy bits or information bits you have. We have roughly 3,500 information steps involved in order to put one movement together. Needless to say, it doesn't make a lot of sense to only make one. Because if you do that work, so you divide this by 10 when you make 10 and when you make 100, then you actually, the cost of information is so high in watch engineering and movement making that you need to have a certain minimum quantity to reach also a certain price and to reach equality.
Yeah.
You know, if you just always end up in the prototyping stage, which in my opinion is called manufacture, that's why we say industrial. It's not a bad word. It's a definition of a certain precision level. I mean, Rolex down the road, you know, our neighbors, they are pretty good at that. Same as Omega and ETA. These guys are doing industrial scale, high performance watchmaking, and they are very good at what they do. And we try to be as good as them. Yeah, we don't have the budget and we don't have the brand strengths, but we do our best, and everybody can come here and can have a look in each and every one of these boxes. All the springs, all the wheels, we really control each and every part during manufacturing. And that's what makes me proud. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. No, I had a good question yesterday in one of the comments, and it was serviceability in 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Is that a possibility? How do people know that that is going to be a possibility for them?
So basically, when we talk about industrial performance watchmaking, we design the things in a way that we follow some rules. So you try to make as many same parts as possible, not so many different screws. You try to design the parts in a way that they fall into position when you assemble them. You try to design them in a way that you can place them 90 degrees to the surface of the movement, no back cuts, all these kind of things. So this is in the car industry the same, like in the watch industry, that's industrial engineering. Design to manufacture, design to assemble. Having said that, we do that not only to help ourselves make a better product, make it more easy to produce and to assemble, we do that also to make it more easy to be repaired. Less parts are good. I don't like complicated. A part which is not needed is not a good part because it will cause trouble and it costs cost. And this counts for after service the same. I think we design a watch movement in a way that a good watchmaker can easily assemble, disassemble that movement and not stand it, also repair it 20 years from now. And I don't know if I'm still around then. Nobody knows, you know, life can be short. But we are living in times of video. We have high resolution. We can, a watchmaker can call us in and say, I have a watch here. What journey to repair here. So yeah, that's part of. People do not always think about that, but we spend the majority of our time thinking about this stuff. How do you actually survive long-term a movement engineering exercise? Because there are not so many, obviously.
Yeah, and when you do all of these processes yourself and you engineer it, you have all the drawings, you have all the process know-how, that this is all archived and able to be referenced later on. Let's say it's in 30 years from now. Somebody can go back and...
Yeah, and we also have to understand the watch industry is very old. Also, that's my problem with patents. There's stuff being patented which is just not invented by anybody of us or any of the other companies. It's 200 years, 300 years old solutions. Everything has been done more or less one time. And this means we do not completely invent the world new. We probably improve known know-how. That's our job, but we are not in the world of disruptive invention, which is very hard to predict. Everything we do from a well-trained watchmaker, from a well-trained engineer can be understood. And that's the good thing on this industry. Yeah, in smartwatch business, you don't know anyhow. The biggest problem in smartwatches is software. It's not the watch.
So YouTube user was asking about the crystal diameter. It's 31 millimeter. Well, we got off on a tangent there. It was 31 millimeter. We measured it up for you. And then somebody's asking, Andy, on the Supersede watch features, you mentioned big date function. Isn't that using the 2-disc as it was on Multiply?
It depends on how big we consider a big date to be.
Yeah.
We consider this to be a bigger date than regular. There are big dates which have probably not necessarily 2 discs like we show them. For that watch, we choose for that size. I showed the disc before. Perhaps down the road,
Well, we have an autark there that we show with the big date.
Yeah, we can compare that.
Yeah, so we'll compare K1 big date with the K2 big date for you. Oh, Celine, 29.8. Okay, we measured it as 31 here. Okay. We're close.
So yeah, which is bigger?
Yeah, it looks like a K2. A little bit bigger.
It's probably the same.
Yeah, maybe.
So
maybe
compared to a 25 point.
Not the other way.
Or let's do it like that.
No, flip it around. We have the autark upside down.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah.
But for the dates.
No, it's about the same. Yeah, I think it's that date window that that accentuates and pulls your eye into the Supersede.
Yeah. It's interesting to see the bigger crown and the smaller crown, whereas it doesn't feel like smaller. It's very well to operate, by the way. So we have very good. It feels good on the thumb. Yeah, the big date. I mean,
for us, we achieve a big date by using 2 calendar discs on the K1, and for our calendar.
Christopher Ward. We have a Christopher Ward question.
Just one moment. We'll finish this one. For a small day, we just use one disc on the K1 movement. So let's go to the Christopher Ward question.
Yeah. I'm not 100% aware about the form factor of the Christopher Ward, but I guess it is not below 5 millimeter. 6. And I think it's a 30 diameter. So this movement, which you see here,
maybe I'll look here while you're chatting.
I mean, that's the base movement without the GMT function. That's 2.9 millimeter. It's, in other words, it's nothing. It's a thicker piece of paper. And so you take that double and add probably a little bit. This means you have so much form factor, so you should be easily getting out 5 days power reserve. It should be no problem to do that. Everything which is below 4 millimeter, or let's say even below 5 millimeter, dependent on the platform. So when you have a 30 millimeter platform like this, I would say everything below 4 millimeter is state of the art. And when you have a 25.6 millimeter platform, with function like we did in K1, and it's below 5 millimeter, it's getting exceptionally more difficult. Everything is getting tight. Everything is getting more challenging. There is zero error for risk. You can't move stuff around when there's no space. So you potentially, with a failure, start from zero again. That's why we try to really squeeze the height, because at the end of the day, it's what you want. You know, you don't want the thick thing, and yeah, that's the big difference. Form factor in relation to power reserve length is the holy grail of watchmaking. I judge a movement complexity on this thing. The other thing is I'm not sure. By the way, Christopher Watt guys, they are down there. It's cool that they do that. I mean, they're in Biel, and also initiatives like Horage and everybody who is getting into their own movement exercise, I think deserves respect. It's very hard, but from a consumer point of view, there are differences, yes, and it is much more difficult to make something very thin, long running compared to having it the double the volume available. I don't know how much power reserve you could get out when we would have 6 millimeter.
Yeah,
or
I
6.5, probably 8 days
so
or something like this. Because I think what separates us a little bit also is that we really do our own escape in a regulating unit technology. So we really do that stuff by ourselves, and that's we can apply to improve on the core of movement. We improve on our own gear cutting, gear shapes. Most of them use standard NERS gear shapes, which have been used in the past 40 years. So we try to get into every part of that movement, and that's probably different from the others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. My wife is watching. We are having this discussion. Thank you.
So this is
no. First of all, this hand, which should be the GMT hand, it should be matte finished. The factory made a mistake. We got it polished. That's why it looks pretty much the same. But it will look very different with matte. So next samples we will have in matte, and we have a look at it, and then everybody can again say, probably, probably some marking or something is needed, and we want that. So we still have room for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we're nearly at an hour here today. Was there anything else that you wanted to go over, Andy, or anything that came to mind? I think we got all the questions answered.
We are back tomorrow.
We're back tomorrow. So if you have any questions, you can send them here in the chat. You can send us an email at lostontime@horage.com. We still have the pre-order going on for another 2 days. We are just past our first day now, and it was really great to see all the support.
Spread the word.
Yeah, spread the word.
You know, everything people invest into our project is being spent on the young people there. They're out there. We are actually in our facility, and our intention is to bring more young people into the tech game, into engineering. They should not all go to make software chips and cars. There's also engineers and watchmakers needed in the watch industry, and we want to attract them. And it's highly motivating for everybody that we have these live sessions and people can ask stuff. And they're working their ass off, in other words. I mean, they're working day and night, and this will continue for the next 5 years. And we will come up with more and more cool stuff. The more support we get.
And being so close to the engineering team and the watchmakers, from what I get to see on the marketing side, and the enthusiasm, the excitement, and the orders coming in, it just is it's electric in amongst the facility. And as many know, we have a tourbillon project as well, and I was going through and looking at all those components today. So we're getting close to more deliveries coming out the door.
2 parts missing yet.
Okay.
Going springs, and they're going into plating, and we will probably in the beginning of December get into a little bit delayed into assembly, and then the first people will get the second run actually. Yeah, I think we are getting better.
I hope so. Let us know in the chat if we actually got better.
Except the tech stuff.
Yeah, except the tech stuff. We're still working on the quality of the feed. And
tomorrow we will do a walk around.
Yeah.
By the way, so if people have time, can come in. And
Thomas Funder,
the designer, actually one of the designers, because there are many people involved into designing a watch. It's not just the one guy, superstar, who can do everything. But he will be in, and we will have a chat with him.
Yeah.
And I will show my friends again.
Yeah. so there we are. Every time you see those guys, you can. So thank you everybody for joining today. It's great that we had everybody join in. We were a little bit slow to start today because we had some technical issues, but we're going to be back online tomorrow again at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Central European time. It's 1400, and we hope to see you back tomorrow. And if we didn't answer anything today, we'll answer it then for you. Thank you, and till then, bye-bye.
Bye.